Hey everyone, and welcome back, or if you're new here, my name is Josh, and in today's video I'm going to be reviewing the Credit One X5 Platinum credit card. So I'll be going over the main features of this card, its pros as well as its drawbacks. So hopefully by the end of this video you should have a much better idea of whether or not this card is a good fit for you. But before we go ahead and dive into the main features of this card, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Also, if you would like to receive a few free stocks in a pinned comment below as well as in the description box, I will be leaving a few different links where you can receive just that. Okay, so diving right into the main features of the Credit One Platinum X5 card. First off, we're going to be talking about cash back. So you will be earning 5% cash back on purchases in certain categories on the first $5,000 that you spend every single year. So obviously this is pretty generous. Now, as far as the categories go, you are going to be earning 5% cash back in eligible gas, grocery, internet, cable, satellite TV, and mobile phone purchases each and every year. Then after you reach that $5,000 mark in those categories, after that, you're only going to be receiving 1% cash back. Then if you use this card on any transactions in any category that I did not name, on those transactions, unfortunately, you will only be earning 1% cash back. Now, as far as spend bonuses go, you see a lot of other credit cards out there in the market issuing some type of spend bonus, maybe at least $150 or $200. Well, with this one, unfortunately, there is no spend bonus. However, the 5% cash back is still pretty good. Now, this card also has some additional benefits as well that you'll definitely want to keep in mind. So starting out, you'll have the benefit of contactless payments. You're also going to be receiving zero fraud liability. So if you lose your card and someone steals it, whether it be the physical card itself or perhaps online, and then they go out and spend hundreds or maybe even thousands of dollars, well, fortunately, you will not be held liable for those transactions because you did not approve of them. This is a benefit that you see with other cards as well, so not necessarily special, but obviously it is a good thing to have. In addition to that, you're also going to be receiving free online access to your credit score. You're also going to have the easy-to-use mobile app, and then you can also customize your notification alerts. So if you want to set up some type of alert to be sent to your phone whenever a purchase is made, that might be a smart thing to do. That way, if someone does steal your card and goes off and makes a bunch of transactions, you're automatically going to be receiving those alerts. So might be something you may want to set up for the future. And then finally, you can also choose a new payment due date. So just for instance, if your due date starting out happens to maybe be like on the 12th, but you usually get paid on the 14th, you could always decide to kick that payment due date back to maybe the 16th or 18th. That way you'll be receiving your paycheck and then have a couple of days to make your payment on the card. Okay, so now that I went over the main features of the Credit One X5 Platinum Visa card, I'm now gonna go ahead and dive into the APR and fees, because this is something that is usually underlooked and people don't really pay attention to these things, but it is also pretty helpful. So starting out, the APR on purchases is going to be 29.24%, which really is a lot higher than what we would like to see. However, of course, as long as you make sure to pay off your card in full and on time every single month, this isn't really something you have to worry about. Now, as far as cash advances go on this channel, I always recommend to stay far away from them because the APR is usually pretty high. You end up paying a lot of interest plus fees as well. This is not financial advice, of course, but just something that I always recommend staying far away from, something I don't usually perform. But if you do happen to take advantage of the cash advances on this card, just know that your APR is going to be 29.24%. Plus, there's going to be a fee associated with your cash advance. Your fee is going to be either $10 or 5% of the amount of each cash advance, whichever happens to be greater. As far as some other fees go with this card, there is unfortunately going to be a foreign transaction fee. So if you do happen to travel outside of the country, it's probably a card you would want to keep at home. Instead, you may want to opt for a travel credit card, one that does not have a foreign transaction fee, perhaps one with Capital One. This video is not sponsored by Capital One, just saying that Capital One credit cards that I know of do not have foreign transaction fees, so you may want to opt for one of those instead. If you do decide to take this card with you and make a foreign transaction fee, the fee on that is going to be either $1 or 3% of each transaction, whichever happens to be greater. Now keep in mind, you can be here at home and actually be online making a transaction online, and certain websites will actually code it as a foreign transaction fee. So if you're making a transaction online on a website that's from China or maybe Europe, then unfortunately in some of those cases you're actually going to get charged with a foreign transaction fee. So you may want to see how they code that, if it'll come up as a foreign transaction fee if you go and buy off of a website. Now, as far as some other fees go with this credit card, there is going to be a fee of up to $39 on late payments or return payments. So again, as long as you make sure to pay on time, you're not going to be hit with a late payment fee, and you're also not going to be paying any interest as well. And finally, there is going to be an annual fee of $95 every single year, starting on the first year, and it is going to be deducted from your credit line. So for instance, if you have a credit limit of $500, whenever you get hit with the $95 annual fee every single year, the $95 is going to be deducted from the $500 limit, or whatever your limit happens to be at that point in time. So now that we went over the main features of this card as well as the APR and fees, I'm now going to go ahead and jump into what I would consider to be the biggest pros and cons of this credit card. So we're going to start out with the good things. The first good thing is the fact that yes, you're going to be earning 5% cash back on the first $5,000 that you spend in those categories that we just talked about. If you don't remember, once again, those categories are going to be gas, grocery, internet, cable, satellite TV, and mobile phone purchases. Plus, in certain categories, you can actually earn up to 10% cash back in certain retailers. On those transactions, you don't have to do anything to activate it. You'll just see whatever those categories are and how much cash back you'll be earning, and you'll automatically earn those amounts. So that is going to be the good things about this credit card. As far as the drawbacks go, well, where do we start? Starting out, yes, there is that $95 annual fee, something we probably don't want to see. Secondly, even though you are going to be earning 5% cash back, and it's only going to be on the first $5,000 that you spend, so anything above $5,000 every single year, you're only going to be earning 1% cash back, which is extremely poor. There are a lot of credit cards out there in the market where you don't have to pay any annual fee at all, and you're going to be earning at least 1.5 to 2% cash back. And then there are other credit cards where you're going to be earning 5% cash back in your top spending category on up to $500 in spend. That's the Citi Custom Cash Card. So if you use your Citi Custom Cash Card exclusively for like groceries, for instance, and you're able to spend $500 per month, well, you're going to be earning 5% cash back on the $500 in spend. But this review isn't about the Citi Custom Cash Card, it's about the one by Credit One. So another drawback of this card is that unfortunately, once again, there is going to be a foreign transaction fee. Again, that's going to be a 3% foreign transaction fee, or $1, whichever happens to be greater. So if you do happen to travel abroad, this is a card that you'll probably want to leave back at home. But just to sum things up here, all in all, it's definitely not a bad credit card. The fact that you can earn 5% cash back on those eligible categories on the first $5,000 is pretty good. So if you're able to max out the $5,000 in spend every single year, that is going to be $250 in cash back. However, of course, there is going to be that $95 annual fee, so you're going to have $95 deducted from the $250. So ultimately, there are probably other credit cards out there where you're going to be able to go a lot further, ones that do not have an annual fee, and you're going to get more bang for your buck. But that's all we have for today's review. Certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.